What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hopefully you guys are having an absolutely fantastic kick butt day today so far. So guys, today's video we're going to be jumping into the top 10 absolute best tips I can give you for trophy pushing. Now this is going to be an excellent guide for beginner players as well as if you're not a beginner player. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't practice all of these things, and it's going to be a great brush up on your skills so far in this game. Now these tips have massively helped my trophy pushing experience, allowing me to transition from somewhat of a casual player into someone who can compete against the top 200 players in the world. So I strongly urge, if you're having any difficulties with trophy pushing and you haven't practiced one of the things on this list, try it out. It's going to help you out just as much as it helped me out. So if you find any of the tips useful in today's video, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. I'm going to be doing my absolute best, especially in these next couple weeks, to provide you guys the absolute best tips and advice that I can in order to have a better experience in this game in general. So with that being said, you guys, let's jump straight away into it. Here we go. Alright guys, so starting off with number one, I gotta say this one has helped me out immensely when trying to get a little bit better at the game, and that is making sure to play with people who are better than you, so people who had a little bit higher of a trophy count. Now there are several ways to make really great connections in the Brawl Stars community with players that might be a little bit better than you. One really great way to do this is finding a club with the required trophy level at your exact level. That way when you jump into that club, you're at the very bottom of the list. Now this is a really good thing because every single player in that club can teach you something because they're a little bit better than you, so use that as a learning experience from all those players in that club. Another really awesome way to make connections in the Brawl Stars community with players that might be a little bit better than you is joining a Discord server. I know Brawl Stars has its own official Discord server. I'll be leaving in the link in the description down below to that, as well as my own, where players are constantly advertising for matches, so you can find players in there that might be a little bit better than you, play with them, and get better at this game. Now the reason this tip is so beneficial is not because you're getting carried or anything like that, but you're learning from the other players that you're playing with. The two most important things in order to get better at this game is one, a crap load of practice, and two, making sure to learn from other people by watching the way they play. You pick up a lot of tips just from observing players that are a little bit better than you, so I can't stress enough how important this tip is. Please try it out. Alright, so jumping into the second one, and this one is very simple. It's only 4 words. Never play with randoms. This one is so important and will always be towards the top of my suggestions to anyone who's trying to get trophies a little bit faster at this game because of a few reasons. Number one, when you're jumping into randoms, you don't know what you're heading into. You don't have an organized team comp, as well as you don't know the other player that's playing with you. This honestly sets you at an immediate disadvantage right away at the beginning unless you're playing up against another team that has randoms, and that might even turn bad for you as well if players are actually playing brawlers that are good on that game mode. If you think about it, the only thing that the enemy team has to do in order to have a leg up against you if you're playing with randoms is jumping into it with an organized team comp. If the enemy team has an organized team comp and you don't, right away in the beginning, they're going to have an advantage against you. And it doesn't even necessarily come down to your own skill in the game. You could be one of the best players in the world, and if you have 2 players on your team that aren't so good and dragging you down, you're going to lose against the enemy team more often than not. So once again, I cannot stress this tip enough. Please do not play with randoms. The only game mode that you can really get away with playing with randoms is probably duo showdown. Any of the 3v3s, don't do it. So the next one has definitely helped me out a lot as well, and that is setting trophy milestones for yourself in game. Now what I mean by that is setting a trophy goal for every single one of your brawlers. So for example, if you're first starting off the game, say you have 10 brawlers, try to get every single one of those brawlers to 100 trophies, and then you can continue the process. So try to get them up to 200 and then 300. This way your trophy pushing is a little bit more organized and rewarding for yourself. Alright guys, so jumping into the next one, and that is playing with a team. Now I don't mean an organized team comp or anything like that. I mean playing with players that you are used to playing with. Right now I personally have about 4 different trophy pushing buddies that I always go back to just because I know how they play and I'm comfortable playing with them. This one is so important just because you get used to knowing what your teammates are going to be doing in game so that you can help complement their play style. There's so many times where I'm pushing with my team that I'm used to playing with where we can take down players that are a lot better than us just because we have that element where we know what we're doing in game. If you have a really awesome trophy pushing experience with someone in game, add them to your friends list and play with them again. It's going to be really beneficial for you in the long run, and you'll be making some friends in game along the way, so that's always a plus. So I cannot stress this one enough. Try this one out for sure. Alrighty guys, so the next one is very simple as well, and that is whenever you get a new brawler, whether that be on your trophy road or on the brawl boxes, bring them into showdown until you get to at least 250 trophies, or until it's just a little bit too hard to push that brawler on showdown anymore. This one is super good for getting fast trophies, and if you're trying to get those trophy milestones that we touched on earlier in the video, it's going to be really good for getting that new brawler up to the point that you're at with all your other brawlers. There's a few reasons why showdown is very good right away in the beginning, and one of those reasons is the trophy distribution. If you take first place in showdown with 0 trophies, you're going to get 8 trophies for that win, which is much more than any of the other 3v3 game modes. If you take first place in any of the other game modes at 0 trophies, you're going to get 6 total trophies for that win. Another thing is if you lose in showdown, say very last place, you only lose about 2 trophies, which is insane. There's very low risk and very high reward in this game mode. Another reason that Showdown is fantastic is how fast the matches tend to go, especially at low trophy range, just because everyone that's playing plays very aggressive. They kill each other, and you don't necessarily have to do that much in order to pick up wins. In a typical game of Showdown, you can normally finish the match in that 1 minute range, which is absolutely insane. If you compare it to the game mode Bounty, that's always going to be 3 minutes, so you can fit almost 2 or sometimes even 3 games of Showdown in that one match of Bounty, which is super good and fast trophies. Another thing that I do want to bring up about Showdown is that it's super important to understand how to play the other 3v3 game modes as well, just because it's important to be somewhat of a well-rounded brawler. If you get practice on the other game modes, it's just going to make you better in the long run. The next trophy pushing tip is mastering a brawler. This one is also super important because I tend to see people whenever they have a hard time with brawler to jump around a little bit or just having fun in the game, which is fine. That's super fine. It's awesome to have fun in the game, but they'll say, for example, be on bull, and then they'll push up maybe like 20 trophies, and then they'll switch to another brawler just because they want to play with another brawler. But I'd highly recommend playing with that bull until you master that bull, just because if you know the ins and outs on a specific brawler, you'll know what type of game modes they thrive on, you'll know what type of team comps they fit really well into. Also, you know what to do in certain situations in game a lot easier, somewhat split-second decisions. So yeah, this one is super important. What I suggest to you guys is, as soon as you start this game, find a main, find a brawler that you really click with, and play that brawler until you know everything about them, and then go to the next brawler that you really like. Moving on to the next one, and that is, if you're having a hard time pushing up with your 3v3 team, jump into a voice call on a third-party app like Discord or Skype. Communication is so freaking good in Brawl Stars. It's just another advantage if you jump into it against another team if they don't have it. Typically, I'd recommend you don't need to use it at all times. Use it if you're having a hard time pushing with your team. It's just another way to kind of give yourself a little bit better of a chance to beat the enemy teams that you're going up against. Alrighty guys, so the next one is also incredibly important. That is keeping up with the meta. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard me say this time and time again, but it's so incredibly important. I want to make sure to reiterate this as much as I possibly can. So basically, if you know the meta, you know what brawlers are really dominant in the meta, and then you can focus your attention on those brawlers that are actually good and give you a little bit easier trophies than the brawlers that might not be so good. I see time and time again where players are trying to push up brawlers that might not be super good in the meta. Now, this is fine if you're trying to have fun playing with the other brawlers. That is totally fine. Fun comes first in Brawl Stars. However, if you're trying to gain trophies quickly and efficiently, you might want to avert your attention towards the brawlers that are super good in the meta, because the trophies are going to come so much easier. Now, this can clash a little bit with one of the points that we made previously in the video, and that is setting trophy milestones for yourself. So say you're playing Primo, and for example, hypothetically, Primo's just absolutely horrible in the meta that he's in currently. He's not that bad in the meta right now, which is awesome, because he's awesome. But say you're trying to push all your brawlers up to 300 trophies, and that one Primo is at 150, and you just can't push him. Wait until a balance change rolls around so he gets a buff, and then push him up. Use your time to push up your other brawlers, maybe the really dominant brawlers. Get them up to 400 if they're already at 300, you know what I mean? Now, there are several different resources where you guys can find what brawlers are really dominant in the meta, and also just playing in the game, you should be able to get a great feel for which brawlers are actually good. But some of the resources that you can use are like tier lists or top 5s like on your boys channel, as well as articles. I know Brawl Stars blog comes out with tier lists all the time that are really useful for the community. So make sure to use those resources that you have in order to keep up with the meta so you can push up the best players in the game and use your time the most efficient way possible. Alright guys, so the next one is take breaks. Oh my goodness guys, this is so freaking important. It doesn't have to be a long break or anything like that, but I find if you're on a tilt, a very severe tilt, and you take like a 20-minute break and come back to it, it is so much better for your pushing. If you take a break, screw your head on straight and don't let your games be run by emotions, which I do sometimes. Don't let that rage infuse your gameplay, because most of the time you're just going to lose trophies, more and more trophies because of it. And one thing that I find with myself, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I feel like I do the best in like the first hour of trophy pushing. After that, I get a little bit more tired, and then it's super important for me to take that break, take a second away, and then come back to it while I'm a little bit more fresh. And the final one that we're going to be ending on is watch YouTube videos. I know this one sounds a little bit cliche because I'm a YouTuber, and I would love if you go back and watch my catalog of tips and tricks and just all my other videos, but it does help you guys. Most of the Brawl Stars content creators have been making YouTube videos for a year and a half. We have pretty dang good knowledge of this game for the amount of time that we've been playing it. If you do have questions about Brawl Stars and you look it up on YouTube, it will most likely be out there, just because, like I said before, we've been making content for a year and a half. I mean, I have like 500 and odd some videos so far on Brawl Stars content, so there's plenty of stuff out there, and I know the other content creators have copious amounts of videos as well. So yeah, you guys, those are my top 10 trophy pushing tips. I wanted to keep it nice, short, simple, and sweet so you guys can get all of it jam-packed into one complete message. I'm telling you guys, these are the certain things that I've picked up along my way playing Brawl Stars just as a player, not so much as a content creator. Even if you are a seasoned veteran, you might not have tried every single thing on the list if you're having some difficulties trophy pushing in Brawl Stars. So it's going to be really beneficial to make sure to hit all the points on this list. Maybe you're doing 6 of them, try all 10. Also, if you are a beginner player, these are going to help you immensely. I wish I knew some of these things when I was first starting Brawl Stars, just to make my experience a little bit more easier instead of picking them up along the way. So yeah, you guys, hopefully you all enjoyed the information in today's video and found it useful. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. Really appreciate that. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Like I said before, I want to make sure that you guys are all equipped with the best knowledge possible going into Brawl Stars, just so you don't go on tilts and stuff like that and get fed up with the game, just because it's such an amazing game, and I want you guys to have fun with it as well. So with that being said, you guys, make sure to keep being friggin' awesome. Love you guys to death. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.